Let's fix this a little bit. How and why midlines are created. Midline is considered just down the front of the face. But actually, if I turn, midline can happen in anything. It's really interesting when you study movement. Movement happens for everything. Like today, someone was trying to get the child to just stay static. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing this? Like, so he's not moving. I'm like, no, I want him to move because I can change it all different directions with midline. Um, the only time I have a midline course really is with the lasers. Maybe it's something to look at. However, you have to understand that because you're doing a milestone, you're creating a midline. So the first midline that is created, and I apologize, my little jaw, jaw needs to be fixed here. The nasal septum is the only straight line within the human body. So when a baby is doing tummy time, the reason, sorry, the reason tummy time is created or has to go through because it has to be done correctly is because all the facial movements or the cranial movements open up within tummy time. So when your baby's doing tummy time, and I'll do it on my doll too, but what you're looking for is that they can go down and come up and go down. You're not looking for a head lift, right? See, with the head lift, I don't have midline. And this is what starts happening with babies. So you're saying as a parent, my baby's doing tummy time, my baby's doing, no, they're not. They're not going into milestone creation. And so a lot of people, like your physio, which they mean well, will say, oh, they're not crossing midline. Well, first of all, they should have been able to fix it in a couple of minutes. I mean, this is where it's very hard for me. I don't mean to say this egotistically. I wish I could crawl through the computer sometimes because, babies to me are like, I'm like a Rubik's Cube person. I can just go on certain things to me that I would consider simple. It's more complex to other people, and especially as parents, because you guys are not taught or think that you even need to teach your child movement, and here you are, right? And so, yes, you're dealing with your development. Yes, you're dealing with the worry of your parent or your child, and now you're worried or you're trying to create, as a practitioner. And I think it's great that you have these courses available because you're not going to get it from people that are just coming into your lives as efficiently as you can do it. An involved parent is going to change your child's life. It just is. Now, it doesn't matter if it's soccer practice or movement lesson, but that's and an involved parent is going to change your kid's life. They just will, As I tell people, the day of the field trips are over. You know what I mean? If you want your kid to go to a museum, you're getting them in the car and you're going. So when you're looking at tummy time, right? So when your child is here, your baby is here, and again, the tummy time creation, you don't want where the child is here or they just can't. And then this is where, they have to get stronger. No, they don't. You know what I mean? The tummy time again should look like this. This is true tummy time. So what that does, and you can see this more in my 6-year-old. And again, it's the only straight line in the human body, right? You see the nasal septum right there. But just like you're digging through sand, right? That sway of the nasal septum is what opens up midline within the whole of the body. This is also why nursing is so important, right? A baby who nurses, right, is going into their first crossing of midline. It's a bilateral feed and they're crossing that, right? You're seeing this here. Whoops. Sorry, this is the only problem, about working with yourself in this studio and that. So a bilateral feed, your baby is crossing midline, going through midline crossing for the first time. And again, it's bilateral. This is why I recommend when you're nursing your baby or bottle feeding your baby, you want to go down to like a really tiny 4-ounce bottle so you can, and then bilateral feeds so you can see that, right? And that's where you go into that kind of movement. And that's where it happens. So to say you want a midline course, we got to go back to tummy time, right? Your child's not getting it in tummy time. And they're not getting it, and that's why rolling over is not happening. And so the observations, again, are correct. but you need tools to get your child into that. And that's what needs to be worked on. I'm going to post a couple of more videos that are going into, but really, the videos that you're working on in tummy time, again, that weight transfer and all that, you're holding your baby and so forth, that's all midline and going. And now the crossing of midline comes after rolling over. So, and then they start crossing. And that's why grabbing the feet is such an important milestone at 4.5 months. So you can go into that. So first it's coming to midline, right? And that's why I don't want babies with their arms out like this. They're just not going to get the same opportunity to go into developmental movements, what I call functional movement. You know, I can put my arms out and go like this all day long, but I can't feed myself. I can't get dressed eventually. And you'll see the deviations and develop it that way. So please, that's why you're here. Don't get overwhelmed. Show me a couple of videos of actually you working with your child, and then we can go from that and just fine tune it. But yes, the worried parent is there and all of that, but you know, you just doing movement lesson will create all of this. Right? If you do other modalities, and I'm not trying to say this to sell another mode, but when you're doing other modalities, they really break it down in pieces of parts. And our babies aren't cars. You know, the carburetor's not over here, here's the bumper, and we put it all together. You know, anything, any movement that a baby moves, it should go through their entire system to, again, create something that they learn from it. And that's where you get the cognitive stimulation, or that's going to create a deviations where they're going to start having to follow this way of what not to do. Like when I talked about a baby shouldn't be falling, and go from there.